What's going on, boys and girls? Hey, listen, today for the Frag Effect, we're going to hit y'all with the 21 Questions edition. Y'all know how the show goes, so I do have a special guest with me. So strap up and let's go for that ride. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the afternoon. Hey, listen, I like to incorporate a bunch of different concepts and entertainment into my, reviews. We don't just do reviews over here. You guys know I'm always trying to push the envelope for community conversation and keep you guys going with what I call edutainment. And speaking of which, we're going to do an episode of 21 Questions as a Frag Effect podcast episode. So you know what that means. I do have a guest with me. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to a first timer on the show. Let's switch screens here. We got my boy Ayedee here. Ayedee is from the TikTok community as far as my interaction with him. As you guys know, I have been expanding over into the TikTok world, just meeting different members of the community, seeing what the temperature's like over there, and there are a lot of frag heads. Ayedee being one of them. So Ayedee, why don't you introduce yourself to the people real quick?
What's going on, y'all, man? I'm AD. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Excellent. And just before we get cracking with the 21 questions, Ayedee,
Mhm.
um, is TikTok your main platform? And if so, how long have you been over there?
No, actually, I have a YouTube, I have a Instagram, and I also have a Facebook. Of course, I have a Discord too, but I use that for mostly gaming. But I've been on TikTok. Well, I've been on TikTok for like 2 or 3 years, but I actually started doing content for roughly over a year. So I actually started taking it serious around June of last year.
Okay. And do you run your content kind of equally across the platforms, or is there one that you focus on more?
Well, at first, because content creating was new to me, I mainly stayed on TikTok, but I've been migrating over to Instagram more over the course of about 2 months, and been trying to post a lot of my content on Facebook, and really trying to get out there and put more content out there on YouTube.
Okay. Awesome. Well, hey, that wasn't a part of the 21 questions, but it's good to let people know kind of your background and things like that. You guys know I like to freestyle a bit. The 21 questions is kind of just a roadmap and navigation, but we'll take a pit stop here and there when I think we need to tap into something a little bit more. So, all right, AD, this is what I'm gonna do, man. 21 questions is really designed to introduce community members to my personal community of subscribers. And so I like to show just how colorful, how different the community actually is. We get into these little groups of fragcom and these little pockets, and we find people that are like us and talk like us and collect the things that we collect. And sometimes it can narrow our minds about just how broad, how different, from an age, a color, a preference, background, the community actually is. I like to look at the community like a diamond. Diamonds have tons of different cuts, and when the light hits one of the cuts at a different angle, it illuminates a different light. And so I feel like by showcasing more members in the community, we really get a better, clearer picture of just the beauty, the full beauty of what the community actually is, rather than what we see just on YouTube and different things like that. So I'm gonna hit you with 21 questions. It's not designed to stump you. It's designed so that people can learn more about who you are, in your journey through fragrance, and hopefully that encourages somebody looking from the outside in who hasn't heard your story. So, do you have any questions before we get rolling?
No, we can go ahead and get rolling.
All right, so let's kick it off, and we'll see what time allows, and hopefully we can get all the way through this. So, first question is, what was the very first fragrance that made you think to yourself, "Okay, I think this is going to be a hobby now"?
My first fragrance will have to be, well, actually, it's two. When I first bought Sudden Place by Bun Number Nine, and
Oh,
I just
Sutton Place.
love
Okay.
Sudden Place is just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And when I broke down and bought MFKs, L'Homme a la Rose.
Mm.
Yeah. That was like, yeah, this is gonna become an addiction. And I already had my bottle of what is that? Vintage, no, vintage radio, yeah. So when I got those 3 bottles, I just knew automatically like, hey, this is gonna be
Hey,
more than just this is gonna be more than just saying, hey, I'm gonna collect
more than
these.
just a pit stop.
Uh-huh.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I have all three of those, and I could definitely understand why you got sucked into the black hole of fragrance. That's
Yes.
that's really dope. I love all three of those joints. Next up, about how many bottles are currently in your collection now?
Man, I want to say roughly about 125-ish, and that's only because I recently decluttered from, I guess, 160, 170. I'm doing more trying to buy with intent versus just buying just because I think I need it. Because if I don't love it, it's not going to be in my collection. Or if I get it and then all of a sudden, probably like a month or two later, I don't love it, I'm going to declutter it. But at the same time, I try to keep everything under 200. But I mean, I'm always sampling. That's
Yeah.
always a factor.
And I'm going to ask you a follow up piggyback question to that. If there was some sort of pie ratio, what is your collection comprised of in terms of types? Is it all niche, all designer, all clones? What's the spread looking like?
Uh, the spread is pretty much scatterplot. I have a little bit of everything, mostly niche or artesian, and I got some designers, and I have some dupes. So I just have a little bit of everything on hand just to go, and be ready and just be ready for anything. So I don't really pass up too much. But if I get my nose on it, I know I'm gonna love it, and I try to keep my ears to any and every creator that's talking about something, and that's why I go to YouTube sometimes and just to tap in and see who else is talking about this and that, and
Yeah.
just get my knowledge up.
We're all students of YouTube University, and I don't think we ever graduate.
It
Uh,
seems like it. It
now,
seems
I
like
I do
it.
have to ask you a follow up question, even to that. So, I can tell, you're an aged man like myself.
Mhm.
Obviously, growing up, I only knew about designer and maybe niche as I got older, but I definitely didn't know it was called niche. So, my question to you is, what even made you aware of clones? Was it YouTube? And how long ago was that? When did that factor come in where you start messing with the inspireds?
Well, as anybody who's starting out doing either collecting or starting to navigate their journey through content creating, we all start at dupes. I don't know too many people, or that's very few people that just start off wanting the high end stuff. So if we don't have, and then 9 times out of 10, we don't have the high end stuff. So we have to get what it smells like. So we go to the inspired buys or the dupes, and we sample those. Like, okay, well, if this smells good, I can only imagine what the original smells like.
Hmm.
So that's how you kind of graduate from being on just one particular stage in your journey, and you just progress after that. Because I mean, naturally, we go to the stores like Macy's, and we can easily get our hands on designers. And now Macy's is starting to roll in some niche. So now it's getting a little easier for the community and for new people to come in and grab bottles of niche. So I
Yeah.
say we start right there at the dupe journey.
And how long ago was your first dupe purchase?
Oh man. I started buying dupes. My first one was had to be about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and I bought the Amber Oud Gold Edition. So
Oh,
yeah,
the
I
Al
saw that.
man.
Uh huh. I saw that and I was like, man, if it smell good, I know this is gonna be an addicting hobby. So when I bought it, it was
Yeah.
pretty much a wrap after that.
Yeah, I used to think there were certain places you could only get niche or designer or whatever, but now it seems like we're kind of getting some bleed. Like, for instance, Burlington, TJ Maxx, you might
Mhm.
catch a niche fragrance rolling up in there quite often now. And now the clones have now jumped into the discount retail space too. So you can go to a Burlington and get Thriller from Cal Cologne or Latafa, French Avenue, things like that. So
Mhm.
it's crazy how fast the retail market is catching up to where the purchasing is actually happening and what people are interested in. Let me ask you, if your collection had to be cut down to 10 bottles, uh, I'm not going to ask you what they are because that's for big collectors. That's not a on the fly kind of question. But how
Mhm.
painful would it be for you to pick 10 fragrances that you had to hold on to? Would it be easy or difficult?
Me working with I want to say a smaller collection compared to some creators because I know people that have two, 300, and then I even know people who have thousands and thousands of bottles. So me working with a somewhat of a condensed roster, it would be very hard at this point of life because a lot of stuff that I have is an intentional buy. So I'm looking at it like, yo, I don't wanna have to start over and have to source this out and find how to get this. And
Yeah.
but it's all a part of the journey. But it'll be difficult to break it down to 10. It'll be difficult.
Yeah, you just made me think like a lot of people don't think about that part of the journey that once you start really collecting, some of the stuff in your collection is stuff that took you a while to even find. So
Yeah.
it's not like you could just scavenge that. So part of me would answer that question like, well, I would grab 10 of the fragrances that were the hardest for me to find, but then I'm like, is those aren't always the ones I love the most either. So that's a difficult
Hmm.
question to answer. It would be painful for me.
Right.
What fragrance profile do you seem to collect the most without even realizing it?
Um and I buy by seasons too. So I'm trying to wrap up my summer. Hopefully no other summer scents hit. I stick to more. Let me see. I guess fall and winter is my favorite. So I
Mm-hmm.
stick to mostly woody fragrances, and I
Probably
like a
sweeter
good
stuff.
tobacco. Yeah, I can do some sweet stuff. I have some sweeter fragrances. Um, I don't use them all the time because of my work environment, and I don't
Mm.
want to be smelling like candy around a bunch of guys. That's just me. So,
Me too.
I just try to keep my palate wide open. I have the aromatics, I have the teas, I have the woody fragrances. Another rim I think I got a lot of, and that is the more plum and boozy tobacco fragrances. I have at
Mm-hmm.
least 3 or 4 of those, maybe five. So I'm like,
Okay.
I think, yeah, mostly woody. And when it comes to fall, since I like range when it comes to fall and winter. So,
Okay. And what's the most you ever spent on a fragrance?
at this point, a little over 600.
Okay. Okay. So this is an addiction.
Yeah, it is. It is. It very much is, man.
um,
And you hate to see it go, but I mean, what can you do?
you know what? It's so hard to spend a lot of money on a fragrance, but the moment you get it in the mail, you kind of forget you even did it. Um,
Exactly. That's money
um,
gone, but it's money well spent.
yeah, it's like I can't do anything about it. Let me just enjoy this fragrance. That's why I bought it. Um,
Exactly.
what fragrance, if you remember any, had the coolest presentation where you're like, oh dang, like, because I know some people are sticklers for presentation and stuff. I'm personally not. I throw everything away, but recently I've gotten some purchases where I kept the presentation at least in a box. Do you have a fragrance where you just know this, like, this blew me away with the presentation?
Yeah, I actually have 3. So, the first one is the savoir fairs, just that whole brand in perspective, how they bring like, when you open the box, they each piece of each item just tells a story, whether it's, the creators using his children to illustrate a picture, or he's taking a collage of pictures and put it on a like a postcard, something. But the whole brand itself tells a story and it's black owned. So that's the first one. The second one has to be my Faroku, how you can make like how they give you a 10 ml and how they give you a 50 ml. The 10 ml is actually the top for the 50 ml, but you can convert it into a traveling decanter. And I guess the third one will have to be some of my Heritage exclusives. The way they come in those special in the special packaging, especially the fragrance Dubois. They come in a special packaging and a nice, gaudy, healthy green box with their bread, and so it's luxurious. I like
I
it.
can
So
I can say I completely agree with your choices, especially with Harrods. Harrods definitely puts it down. I have a couple of Rojas where it's like, yeah, this is fire. Um,
right.
so what's a fragrance that a lot of people in your community really love that you hate? Are
I'm
we getting
finna.
you into
Ooh, you
trouble?
finna. Yeah, you finna get me in trouble. I don't necessarily hate it, but a lot of people,
Or maybe
a
just
lot of
one
people,
that you just wouldn't buy.
well, I mean, I already bought it, but I mean, I don't hate it. No, I don't hate it. I don't really hate too many fragrances unless they just downright bad. But it's one that gets absolutely glazed day in, day night. I mean, it's a good fragrance though. It's a good fragrance, but there are other good fragrances, and that is imagination. I have
Mm,
imagination. I wear imagination. I like imagination, but to hear the community like just gloat about it, like I
yeah,
get it, but at the same time, like there's other stuff out there
there
you can get.
there really is.
Right,
I agree. Imagination, and then on on the clone side, I'm like, yo, how many times are we gonna love the announcement of a house that has an imagination inspiration coming out? Like, I thought we already bought
right,
it. I don't need to smell it a little juicier or a little closer to one. Like, I get it. What
right.
fragrance in your collection last year, so 2025, got you the most
Mhm.
compliments?
Mm. I would say I would say my Fragrance Du Bois Rude Oud and Creed Absolute Aventus.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. People, hey, listen, man, I don't care what people say, man. Aventus gets the job done, man. Tried and true,
It gets the job done. Right,
you
right.
know?
It stands out. I smelt that when I was in New Orleans. I was walking by a guy on Bourbon Street and I instantly knew I like, hey, I know what you're wearing. It's good, man. I got that too. So yeah, it's a very distinct scent. I mean, it like you said, it gets the job done each and every time.
Yeah. Now, here's an interesting question.
Mhm,
Um, what's the worst scenario you've been in with it's called a fragrance oops?
mhm.
Something bad that like just the consequences of doing one of these three things. Which one is the worst to experience? A bad blind buy, overpaying for a fragrance, buying the fragrance and then figuring out it was so much cheaper somewhere else, or just the regret of a purchase where you thought you really loved it and then you got it and realized like, dang, I was just tripping.
I will always say a bad blind buy. I live in Alabama, so it is hard for me to source every fragrance I can get my nose on. So I depend on the community to kind of help me out, sending me like, little care packages and stuff like that. Or I'll have to drive to Atlanta and smell what's out there. I just recently went to Set Cottage and got my nose on a lot of things that they're not talked about. So
Mm.
but yeah, blind buying is oof, it is a tried and true method. I think I did a video on how to like just do homework. I do homework religiously when it comes to picking out fragrances. And sometimes and I have more wins than losses. I really have more wins than losses. I like when the losses hit, they hit hard. And the one loss that I thought I was gonna like really be banging my money on, oh man, it went a whole nother direction, and that fragrance is just freaky as all get out.
Okay.
But
Well, let me ask you this. If I was to say, show me AD in a bottle, meaning give me a fragrance that when I smell it, it would represent you and your character the most. What fragrance would you hand me?
let's see. Um, okay, that's kind of a easy, and that piggybacks on one of your um questions you asked me about my most expensive purchase. So it
Mm-hmm.
would have to be Brompton's Immortal. Yeah, there
Oh,
we
I
go. It had to
just
be
got
this.
that literally yesterday.
Yeah, it had to be this fragrance because is is stout, it's gentleman like, um, it's a little quirky because I know a lot of it's not your typical American scent, I guess. This is very distinguished. Um, this is something like you will want to wear on very special occasions, and that's kind of represent how my personality is. I'm only gonna pop out for special occasions. You're not gonna see me just any and everywhere. So I say this speaks volume. I like when it comes to fragrances, I like class. I also like of course value. But it really defines like me being like a strong man and just pretty much right now doing his thing. I can just think back 10, 11 years ago, I was homeless, and
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm.
I'm doing a lot. So
Yeah.
I would say that.
Good choice, man. Brompton Immortals is awesome. I literally just got it in the mail. Shout outs to Ex Nihilo. Great boutique, as people know on this channel. I've done a lot of work with them. Do you organize your collection by brand, season, color, notes, or just complete chaos? How would you say you've organized yourself? Because you look pretty organized behind you.
Well, there's a lot of noise. It is a lot of noise. Um, I try to keep my more prized possessions in glass and well behind the glass that is, and I try to keep some the ones I had for a while over here, and the ones that I probably go to on a daily basis or something like that if I'm just going to work or going out to
Mm-hmm.
run an errand. Kind of keep those over there because I know that just as soon as I come in the door, I can just grab those and go.
Mm-hmm.
But
So those are like your dumb reaches.
yeah, like it's an easy reach. I mean, I smell good nonetheless. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Give me a fragrance that okay, I'll give you two scenarios. Give me a fragrance that you bought and then you thought in the moment, like when you finally put it on, you're like, I don't know if I like this, and then you left it on the shelf and it grew on you, or a fragrance that you sampled that you didn't know you loved, and then later when you went back to it you loved it and you're like, no no no, I do want this. And like, so give me a fragrance
Ooh.
that grew the most on you, that took a while for you, that wasn't love at first sight and then won you over.
Oh, I just did a small video on it. My only Nasomato offering, that'll be Nasomato Baranda. Um,
Mm.
they don't have the notes, broadcast on a lot of sites. So when I did get a chance to like to kind of glance over what was in there, I was like, okay then. But I bought it with the intention of like, yo, I'm aware and it's gonna be just it. So when I smelled it, I was like, nah. But then I literally had to sleep on it. Wore it to bed one night, and I guess I came to my senses overnight. And so then I kept smelling it. I kept smelling it on my shirt. And I was like, okay. I went to work and like I had it on a piece of tissue. I was just smelling the tissue. And I was like, okay, okay. So then when I got home, I went and sprayed it again. I sprayed it on my skin. I was like, all right, all right. We finally got it. We finally going somewhere with this. Okay, I get it. I completely get it. So that was why like yeah, that was the one I was just like, you're gonna make me fight for this. But hey, it did and it worked out and I love it. So
Let me tell you something, man. Baranda was love at first sniff for me.
mhm,
I actually went to California, went to a place called the Scent Room, and they had all the artisanal and niche independent brands, like everything. So maybe they had Wilhelm, but they had the entire line. Maybe they had Fragrance Du Bois, but they had the entire line that you could smell.
mhm,
And I was doing content and meeting with friends, so I didn't really have time to just get in my zone and smell everything.
mhm,
And I remember I was like, I got to walk out of here with something because this is just an incredible experience. It's rare, even where I live, to find a niche boutique that has all the independent stuff out to smell. Normally when you get a brand, you get their front runners. And so I quickly went through some fragrances, and I remember Baranda was one where I'm like, I have to go home with this somehow, but I didn't bring any bread to that spot.
mhm,
So, and I was like blessing friends of mine and stuff like that. So I wasn't in the position to get a full bottle. And I at that point, I don't ever pay retail. So I wasn't going to get it there if I was going to get it. But I was like, I want to bring this home on the road with me. So I paid like
mhm.
$35 for like a 3 ml. and
Ooh,
then took that home, enjoyed it. Cause that fragrance isn't nuclear, but it's big. So
mhm,
that little 3 to 5 ml lasted me like a week or something, and then I wound up buying it. But that fragrance is just whiskey and rose. That was the first time I fell in love with rose, because I feel
mhm,
like what Baranda does with rose was just different than all the typical niche fragrances I had smelled, where they either do like a pretty rose or a jammy, creamy,
mhm,
seductive rose. That
mhm.
one I was like, oh shoot, like alcohol rose with a bite, it just, and
Yes.
and then the nose journey of that fragrance is just so interesting. I feel like you get
Mhm.
different parts of it's a really a experience. If there
Yes,
was one
yes.
discontinued fragrance you could bring back, what would it be?
MFK's, oud cashmere mood.
Okay. Ooh.
Already came out with the reformulation of velvet. I have to get my nose on velvet mood, but cashmere would be one. I own a 10 ml of Plum Japanese from Tom Ford.
Oh.
So yeah,
Oh.
I wish.
Man,
Well, I
that's a
think they're gonna bring
fragrance
that
you
back.
can't clone.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're gonna bring it back next year. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers
Fingers
crossed for
crossed.
sure. And hopefully they don't. I bet you it's going to be different. Because that has to be why they discontinued it, man. Because Tom Ford a lot of times does exclusive raw material deals for the design of their fragrances, like with Black Orchid, very specific orchid. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so dang, I can't wait till that comes back. Either way, I'm buying it.
Right.
What fragrance in your collection is the most underrated in your opinion?
The most underrated fragrance of my collection. Um, let's see here, because a lot of people don't talk about it. Um, I'm gonna give you Let's see. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you this one. There's a few people that talk about it, but it's not many people. And this is Odu Saral by Naomi Goodsir.
Mm,
Very, very great a very great representation of tobacco and honey and dried fruits done well. The
that sounds good.
transition
I
on
ain't
this
never put
thing
my
is
nose on that.
crazy. Yeah, the transition on this thing is crazy. I could have knocked a bigger dent in this bottle, but I got this around like January, February. So, I only had a limited time in the South to really truly enjoy and wear this fragrance. But yeah, it's gonna probably be a whole lot bigger when when it
When the
gets back
time comes.
warm next year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that would be the like this is the like people don't understand this is like one of those grails that you like, I'm gonna get that fragrance. Did my research on it, just waited and waited. A lot of course you get caught up in buying other stuff and buying other fragrances. But then when I actually say, you know what, I'm not gonna buy anything else until I buy this. And I bought it and I found this on eBay. And it
Mm,
came in and I was like, yeah, money well spent.
that's amazing. I gotta get my nose on that. AD, tell me one note you used to avoid that you eventually fell in love with.
Ooh. I wanna say oud, but I love oud because there are different types of oud. And one of the first niche fragrances I purchased was Oud Satin Mood Egg Straight, and I really loved the oud in that one because it smelled it didn't smell like all the other ouds, and it was just powerful, powdery, and it was just luxurious. But when I started exploring other brands and other fragrances that had like real oud in it and
Yeah,
show you, especially Armoires that show you how to do a oud well and do it
yeah.
do it some justice, that's when I understood. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is a complex house. Let me like take my time and just kind of research it and wear these type of fragrances out. So that's what I did, and now I got a lot of oud fragrances, a lot of them. So
Mm. I need to up my oud game. I got some crazy ouds, but I could get some more. I'm in Arizona. It's hard.
yeah,
It's
it's hard.
it's
Yeah, it's hard
it's
to wear. Yeah, it's
110
hard to
plus
wear
all the
over there.
time. So fall, winter, and ouds. Real ouds is you got to just put a dash of it on yourself, man. It'll go forever. If
Right.
money wasn't a factor, what fragrance would you get up right now and buy?
Henry Jacques.
Okay, what's that retail for?
Um, I was on Harris and I saw one bottle that I really wanted, and it was like 2,700.
Oh, we're gonna have to lay hands on that.
Yeah.
Dang.
and
Okay.
and I wanted, and you know me, I got 7 Harris exclusives, and I wanted a Bodicea from Harris.
Any in
Opulence.
particular? Opulence.
Yeah,
Okay.
Opulence. But that's like 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
lay hands on that one too.
We'll lay. That's why God gave us two hands. We're gonna lay one hand on one hand on the other.
Exactly, exactly.
What's the rarest fragrance in your collection, and how did you get it?
The rarest fragrance in my collection.
Maybe hard to
It's,
find or limited release, anything like that.
um, well, it depends on how you look at it. You can say I can either say all of my Harris exclusives because a lot of people are afraid to buy into Harris because of the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
But what people don't understand is you can go to Harris, you can pay them a $30 fee, and they'll deliver whatever fragrance you want. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I already paid that $30 up front versus like getting billed. Like when I paid for my Lumari haul, I paid like $180 in tariffs on top of the 600 that I've spent.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Woo!
so yeah. So yeah, Harrods they'll charge you a $30 deliverance fee or service fee,
Which
and
is
you just
nothing.
which is nothing because you're gonna probably be paying that anyway, just trying to get it in here over here anyway. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
but a rare fragrance that nobody really has, I can shoot, I go with this one. Perfume Heads Cosmic Cowboy.
mm.
It is rare because I don't hear people talk about the House of Perfume Head. I've only heard whispers from like two people on TikTok talk about Perfume Head, and that wasn't even this fragrance. I think it was the Canadian Tuxedo or the other La La Love. I think that's what the other fragrance is called. But yeah, you don't get too many people talk about Perfume Head, and little do you know about Perfume Head, about this particular fragrance. When I first started my journey, I bought like Oud Sad Mood. I wanted to like kind of expand my horizon, and I saw this in the magazine article online, and I was like, sounds interesting. I can't wait to see what it smells like. So that was like maybe July, August of last year, and then fast forward to like January. I saw this in the boutique. I was like, yeah, I'm not leaving the store without this. I smelt it. It was a good day that day.
Nice. That's awesome. And you showed some. You show. It's rare somebody to show me something I've never seen, and I haven't seen that. So I'm gonna definitely be getting
Mhm.
my running this video back and looking that fragrance up. I got
Yeah.
two more questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap up. So,
Okay.
if your entire collection disappeared tonight, what's the first fragrance you would go out and buy once your tears dried up?
Once my tears dried up, I would have to go back and purchase Mason Says shoes. Come find me.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And then finally, what fragrance are you wearing today, and why did you choose it?
Okay, so today I wore the new the bow tie fragrance guy and Viva More Parfums. I wore
Summer
the
Vice.
summer, yeah, I wore the summer Vice today. But when I got out the shower, I decided to go another route. So tonight, what I'm wearing right now is the means insignia.
Okay. Tell me how that Summer Vice is.
The summer Vice is really, really good. You get a burst of nice and beautiful citruses right up front, along that's tagged along with the pineapple, and you have some black currant that's in the middle of it that kind of makes it even more fruity, slightly sweeter. And then you have on the base the musk and
Was it
the
caramel and stuff?
caramel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not really super sweet like as you would think Tango Mango is, but
Hmm.
it's tart and is distinctly a little masculine, and it's very, very beautiful on skin. And I'm
Mm.
telling you, once the sun heats it up, it gets it going. So yeah,
That
it's good.
reminds me of my fragrance Tres Oros from day three. It just has a honey pineapple brown sugar thing that just screams and radiates off skin, but it's smooth. So it feels masculine because it's not like the brightness of it is toned down. It's almost like it's got a black tint over a lot of brightness. So it's got like this jet like, honey smooth sillage. And so I'm excited to try the fragrance by Viva More. Bowtie always, brings his fragrances kind of pack a punch.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, I mean, dude, you made it through the gauntlet. I know we asked more than 21 questions, but
mhm,
that normally, I'm long-winded, so that normally happens. If I see something I want to know more about, like I'm gonna close the show notes for a second and dive deeper. But I appreciate you, man. You showed us a lot of fragrances, a lot of personality, a lot of good story, and I feel like the community will get a good sense of who you are. And I appreciate you for doing the 21 questions. Um, I always ask this at the end. Is there
Mhm,
anything you want to know from me now that I've shot 21 questions at you?
mhm. Well, yeah, I got 2 questions. First question is, when did you get started with, I guess I should let me redo that. When was the time when you first said, "Okay, fragrances is gonna be my thing"? Like, what was the first instant, that first time? Like, how was that?
Yeah, so fragrances for me, the short answer to that is doing content and being a collector started off as a joke. Because I wore the same 5 fragrances for 15 years. Um, and because fragrance growing up for me was just something like you wore to get girls or you wore to look older. And so I had those fragrances, some of my early fragrances, Marc Jacobs for Men, original Eau de Toilette, Acqua di Gio, Armani Eau de Toilette, and then just the usual old school stuff, Curve, Cool Water, Gucci, Pour Homme, different stuff like that, Lacoste Red. Wore those forever until I got to about college, and then I dashed a few other ones in there. But about like 5 years ago, I said, "Hey, I've had the same fragrances forever. Maybe I should get some new ones because it's like 20 years had gone by." And so I
Mhm,
went to like a Sephora or something. I picked up Jimmy Choo Man Intense and
mhm,
YSL Original Loam EDT. And then I went home that day and I was on the computer and the algorithm must have seen me do my wire. I paid with credit card and then they put you in a group or whatever. And that must have triggered my algorithm because then the first video I saw was top 10 best clone fragrances ever made. And I remember saying to myself, what the heck is a clone? And
mhm,
so I watched the video and then found out that there are like categories of fragrances, niche, designer, and then inspirations or clones or dupes. And the dupes are going after expensive fragrances and designer fragrances. And that blew me away. And then what blew me away even more was that the price. Wow, people are doing this for $20, $30. So then I kind of went on a rabbit trail and just oddly enough, started picking up some of the usuals, the Oud for Glory, the Club de Nuit, and I was like blown away, and not blown away by the fragrances as much as the the art. I started seeing fragrance more as an art form, a practice, an expression, because I was not only hearing about clones, but I was also hearing somebody talk about fragrances and the note pyramid and seasons and what it's cloning and what the OG could do. And it just became more of an art and a practice. And so that bloomed into buying a bunch of fragrances within that year. And I remember my son Caden, eventually my son Caden, who's now 2 going on 3, is my second son. He at the time when he was my wife was pregnant, I always am very hands on in the first year of my kids' birth because I step in the evenings and I work a lot of jobs. So I'm always up at night. So I would be doing a lot of the night work for the kids. And so I wasn't in my office. I had just bought a house where I actually had my first ever like office because we had enough
mhm,
rooms in the house. So I built this
mhm,
entire office that I had like longed to have my own full-on studio space, film space, workspace. And but I couldn't use it because I had my second son and I was just so busy getting the house and trying to get into a new place financially. And so
mhm,
I was like, I need something for sanity. I need something that has nothing to do with being a father, a husband, a worker, a family member. I need something for sanity. And so what I did was I said, you know what? I'll just turn on my camera and spend like 10 minutes a night talking about a fragrance. Didn't know nothing about fragrances. Prior to that, I had been watching a lot of videos, being that I got sucked into the art of fragrances. So I learned about
Mm-hmm.
clones, and while I was learning about clones, I went to Sephora and Ulta and smelled everything that they had to offer, and then went to Neiman's, then went to Saks, then went to private boutiques and watched every YouTube video, and just wanted to get my nose on everything to get familiar with profiles and stuff. So by the time I turned the camera on, I had watched a lot of YouTube creatives in fragrance, and I had things that I didn't know how to express, but I smelled them. So I had a lot of fragrances I smelled and could at least tell you my opinion about them. And I really
Mm-hmm.
just planned to do that for the first year of Caden's birth, because it was like a smoke break for me. The day's crazy, duck off into the office for 10 minutes, talk about a fragrance with the camera on, throw it on YouTube. And then once he turned one, I was going to go back to doing whatever the heck else I was doing prior. Well, the community just jumped out and was like, "Hey, we like the way you break it down. You're very straightforward. You give us the information we actually want. You don't look like you're glazing fragrances for no reason." And the community just came out of the shadows and showed a
Mm-hmm.
lot of love. So as they were showing love, I felt more dedicated to serve and to be as resourceful as possible to that community. So that was about 5 years ago. Been collecting aggressively for about 5 years. And prior to that, I had about a 15-year run of wearing the same five fragrances the entire time. But now, I never like to disclose how many fragrances I have at this point. I so much so that I don't even, you'll never see fragrances behind me on camera. I
Mm-hmm.
intentionally did that because I speak to a lot of different age groups and walks of life and different stages of people in their collection. And I never want to
Mm-hmm.
give the impression that somebody's not in a position to hear what I have to say about fragrances. I like to make everybody feel comfortable. But at this point, I have uh, a giant closet can't fit my fragrances. So, I have a couple displays in my office that I show here and there. I have
Mm-hmm.
a closet that's been gutted out, that's been turned into a library that I'm now working on, a library of scent. And I do declutter often, but the way I declutter is I just give my stuff away to the community. And yeah, man, that's that. I know that was a long winded answer, but just
That's
giving you some
fine.
context.
That answered everything that I wanted to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty dope. And I think I can correlate with that because I think I was at a point where like I'm a new father and I was, I just had my son in 2024 and at that time, I was on that's when I picked up TikTok. Because
Mm-hmm.
at first, you couldn't pay me to pick up TikTok and look at all that stuff. I was like, man, and people just acting a fool on there. And
Right.
I was like, you call this content creating, just going there acting a fool, telling jokes.
Right, right.
so so then like one day I was just sitting there just scrolling and people just talking about fragrances. I was like, oh, I just joined somebody live, just sitting there just listening and learning. I was like, okay. And then that's when I learned about the TikTok shop and learned about about dupes and like, man, you can get that and it will smell like that. Let me try this.
Yeah.
So then
That
I
that went
bought
out of
made my first
control.
purchase.
That went
Uh-huh.
out of control really quick for me, man, because once I heard about the clone stuff, then I was like, I have to smell the originals. And then
Uh-huh.
I'm not the type of person to go and take home like 10 samples. Like I'm the annoying customer that's like, "No, I got it and I'm going to smell every single fragrance," because I look at it like, "Hey, let me just get this out the way in one visit. That
Right.
way, I'm not going to come here for the next year, showing you I'm not buying a fragrance. Let me just figure it all out right now. Let's get it over with."
Mm-hmm.
So, but then, between YouTube and then ordering stuff online and then meeting people and then going to boutiques, I got my nose on so much stuff so fast. It was just ridiculous.
Right.
But yeah, it's really a dope hobby. And I think the most surprising thing for me about social media is, as adults, we just see the buffoonery on social media, and you kind of
Right.
get the impression that there's nobody like me online. And then you
Right.
go
Right.
online and you meet some pretty regular people that are just like you, that don't like social media either, but they don't got nothing else to do. And you wind up meeting some amazing people, and you're just happy that at your age you can socialize because social media in a lot of ways is like a university.
Mhm.
People forget that when you're in school, it's a very cool thing because you're around hundreds if not thousands of people that are the same age at the same stage of life and probably have similar interests as you, and you get to be in front of all those people every single day. When you finally go out into the workplace, you're around like the same less than 100 people year round. You see the same people at the
Mhm.
gas station, at the coffee shop, at work, family cookout. You get less time to spend with your boys because now once you get a girl in your life or you have kids, your time just starts to get sucked out. And by the time you get home every day, you got to make a wise decision. Do I get some sleep or lose sleep and just start slowly dying? So so
Yeah.
social media kind of reignited um, the ability to live again outside of
Yeah.
just the normal rat race and start to think through, what do I like to do? What type of person do I want to become? Are there opportunities
Mhm.
for me to get outside of my bubble and
Mhm.
either for your career or for your peace of mind, for your mental health? And so I it's a privilege for people of our age to be able to participate in social media because if you're willing to dig a little bit through all the bull
Right.
crap, you will
Right.
find some amazing people who are literally in the same stage of life as you, who are sane, regular human beings, and you get to do life with them from a distance, and it does a lot for you. So that's been like the greatest thing where it's like, oh, thank God there are regular human beings on social media. I just got to find them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
before we wrap up, is there anything else you wanted
Mhm.
to ask me?
No, you asked my follow-up question too, as far as like when I was gonna ask you how long did it take you to collect fragrances, and you answered that too. So yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, the short answer to that, bro, is just that in a 5 year window, I pretty much put my nose to new fragrances every single day. My YouTube channel is now going on 1,000+ days, dropping 2 to 4 videos, including reviews every single day. So every single day
Hmm.
for over 1,000 days, over 2 years, I've dropped a video every single day. And because of that, I've been in boutiques and smelled fragrances and bought discovery sets way more than probably most collectors. So at this current time, in the small window that I've been a collector, I've smelled thousands of fragrances. And because I do content, people are always asking me my opinion on new houses and new brands. I don't do PR. So my PR is 100% funded by my community. So my community pays for all of the PR and sends me everything. And then I review the
Hmm.
material and then give it away in giveaways. So we're like a real cool recycling community that
Hmm.
builds trust because since I'm not tied to any brands, I can be totally honest. I do work with brands, but just not in a PR capacity. So
Gotcha.
we're
Gotcha.
trying to just redefine what it looks like to be a content creator in this space. But yeah,
Mhm.
I've smelled a lot of stuff, man. I always tell people like just go to my YouTube page, type the name of any fragrance, you'll probably see a review that I've done. Even in because 5 years really isn't a long time, but when you are living 5 years where every single day you're trying new fragrances, and I genuinely mean every single day, you can fact check me by just clicking my YouTube videos, how many days I've
Right.
released, no break. Um,
Right.
I feel like I've lived a 15, 20 year experience consolidated into 5 years. And so
Yeah.
it's been dope, man. It's been really cool. Before we or before we sign off, let everybody know
Mhm.
where they can find you. Like shout out your social media, anything you want to say like that.
Okay. Well, y'all can find me on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at AD1987. That is AD as in AYEDEE 1987. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Now YouTube is Frag Wizard, which is frag underscore wizard. Frag. underscore WZRD.
Okay.
So,
Dope. And I'll get all your contact after this to put it in the description below.
mhm.
AD, I want to tell you thank you so much. It's a privilege for you to come onto the channel. I'm glad people were able to meet you, and it definitely won't be your last time over here. We'll
Ooh,
have you back for more content. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave you in the waiting on Discord, and I'm going to close out the episode. But I really appreciate your time, and just hang on tight while I wrap up real quick.
okay.
All right, guys. Hey, listen, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was my man AD. We learned a lot in that episode. The 21 questions is really designed to showcase the community. The community is very different. Everybody is on their own journey. We don't all arrive into it the same place, but we all love fragrances, and fragrances literally change you. You know what I'm saying? And it's a privilege for us to experience it. If you guys have any other questions for AD, put it in the comment section below. Let's get a conversation started. Y'all know, you could talk to me. I do talk back, and AD will be happy to join in the conversation below. If you guys want him back, definitely let us know if there's any other topics or things you want me to throw him in the mix with. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of 21 Questions presented in the Frag Effect podcast. And hey, a lot of y'all have been hitting me up. ASB, keep doing the pod, do this topic next and that. This content channel is curated by the community. So if you guys want to see stuff on future episodes or me to do a deeper dive on a certain part of the content you guys are watching, join my private Discord or just give me feedback in the comment section below, and I'll continue to churn out that content for you guys. Because this channel is for the people and by the people. So with that being said, hope you guys have a blessed rest of your week. Like, comment, subscribe. More importantly, turn on that notification bell. And until next time, take care. Peace.